franchise-altering move for the Ravens. They just acquired Max Crosby going this night or the day after, and it's crazy to think how all in they're going. And people are kind of concerned with the draft capital of how they, how much draft capital they acquired, and they, as in the Raiders, how many draft capital they required, which is interesting to think about, because they got I'm gonna look at the thing in a second, the trade details, but like that, it's kind of interesting to see like how all in the Ravens are going in this year. And Jesse Minter really gets his number one guy on the edge, but he also loses his first round pick, which they needed a guard, and you might be able to take a guard in the second round. I think they still have their second round pick. I'll have to see the trade details. I have to see all that, but it's interesting to see how all in they're going. This is the first time in Ravens history, like first time of Ravens franchise history, that they traded for a first round pick for a player. That's so interesting to think about, because this team has had elite defenses. That means they drafted really well, or they bought really low on some of these other players. Like, it's crazy to think, like, at one point, like, you were trading, like, Roquan Smith, right? That's crazy. Or you're drafting someone like Kyle Hamilton. Or, like, in the good old days, you had, like, Terrell Suggs. You had, obviously, Ed Reed, Lewis. All those guys were really, really fucking good and really good for that franchise. And they drafted all of them, or they didn't give up a lot for them. This is the first time. This is a franchise-altering move for this team that really, that really needed that one edge threat off the edge. And I know you have Mike Green, who was more of an athletic beast and was better at the pass rushing as opposed to run stopping. That's going to be a very big part to see how his development is next to Max Crosby, because Max Crosby is one of the best players in the world. And the reason is because it didn't fit the Raiders' timeline. That's the whole reason why they traded him. Because they wanted him to. He's kind of in like a win now mode, right? He's on the older side, and older side is in like 20s. Like, I think I don't know how old he is. Let me just look that up. But he's on the older side. Like, that's like the biggest part. He's 28 years old. So he's not like old. He's not going to be like Cam Jordan old, right? Or Cameron Hayward old. But he's going to be like, his development time is gotten. And I don't think the Raiders, for a rebuilding team, getting their number one quarterback, new coach, possibly a top draft pick next year too as well, they're selling. They're really selling, and they're kind of retooling this team, which is what they should do. Honestly, this is what they should do. I just wish they got a little more draft capital. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm in love with this trade for the Raiders, because if this team is going all in, the Ravens, if the Ravens are going all in to this thing, because for the looks of it, they might throw a bag at Linderbaum, and Linderbaum will be like, okay, I can't like not accept that, because that's too much money. Like, at one point you have to be like, okay, that pick is probably going to be like late 20s or early 30s. Like, I don't know. Like, it's interesting, right? And if you're the Raiders, do you want to take one more year for Jeremiah Smith or Cam Coleman, or like, you're gonna have Mendoza, so you're not gonna need a quarterback, Jordan Seaton, like Colin Simmons, Dylan Stewart, so maybe that fills up the void for Max Crosby later, because there's no guarantee you're gonna get Jeremiah Smith next year. Jeremiah Smith might be the first wide receiver. I don't know if there's ever been a wide receiver taking number one overall. Let me see. 3 wide receivers, and those were in the 90s. Irvin Fryer, Keyshawn Johnson, and Dave Parks. I don't think there's any like Jeremiah Smith is generational, right? You can maybe see that happening. But also the Max Crosby deal is like, maybe you can get like someone, like if you fall out of the top 5 and you're like 7 or 8, you can definitely get like Colin Simmons, Dylan Stewart. So there's going to obviously be names that rise and fall throughout the year. You've seen like people saying like, oh, we thought Drew Aller was going to be like first round pick, now it's Mendoza, right? Like that's the thing about the college football, right? But at the same time, like, this team is selling a lot of their capital just because they want to build for the future, and it's 100% the right move. It's just I wish they got a little more. And for the Ravens side of the deal, you would like to like assume they're going all in. Obviously they are. They have to fill in their guards. They have to fill in, like, because at 14 I was having them taking Big Ione. I was having them taking a wide receiver. I think Lamar can do fine with his wide receivers. I wasn't as concerned with wide receivers, especially this wide receiver class is so deep. So you have your later round picks, because you didn't give up really top heavy picks or even deep picks. You have your 4th or 3rd round pick. So there's that, and even your second too. You can get it at second. I think there's more needs than wide receiver, because you already have a Pro Bowl. I don't think Zay Flowers deserved a Pro Bowl, but he's a Pro Bowl caliber type receiver. So you have him, but at the same time, and Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. Like him, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Burrow can do what they need to do without an elite supporting cast. Even Drake May. Like I know this. I need to see a little bit more from Drake May. I think this year was definitely an interesting area because they had one of the weaker schedules. But like these type of quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, I think can do that too. Jane Daniels, like those type of quarterbacks, like these big prospect type quarterbacks who produced a lot in college and also now in the NFL can elevate their team. You don't really need a wide receiver, especially in a deep wide receiver class. The problem is the guard. Falele is hitting free agency. I wouldn't resign him. I wouldn't even talk to him. Like I would just block his number or his agent's number. That's my deal. I think that if the Ravens, like, you're gonna have to throw a bag at free agency. I don't know how much cap space they have. I'll take a look at that right now, but I don't know how much cap space they have. And if, like, do you want to re-sign Linderbaum? Your center's gone. The center class is fine. It's okay. Like, the interior offensive line class is okay. Like, it's nothing great. Like, it's like, and especially with you don't have like your really like top heavy like picks too. So like someone like Vega Ione would have been perfect because you or Spencer Fano would have been perfect because you have your guard spot filled and you have an elite talent there, an elite prospect there. Someone who doesn't Vega Ione who doesn't have a lot of like bad things about him. He's really like he's a solid prospect. He's probably not a generational type prospect, but he's a really good prospect with a really high floor. Like that's what you need on that line. Or Spencer Fano, who has so much versatility playing a swing tackle but also playing guard. His arm length is a little short, but you're probably drafting him to play guard. Like it's a lot of interesting areas to move, right? That's the problem though. Like you don't know. Like there's a lot of like deep things that this team might need. And I know Jesse Minter will probably sign some free agents like the edge, like the edge class. This edge class this year stacked for the free agencies. There's not the draft. The draft is decent. It's deep, but it's not like stacked, right? For the free agency class, it's a little different. They have Khalil Mack, you have Trey Hendrickson. There's some other notable free agents too. Adafe Owe, who Jesse Minter really loved in LA, who they traded for, who did had amazing production. He had a bunch of fucking numbers that went up. He had a bunch of career highs and stuff. Maybe you re-sign Adafe Owe. Like this like it's interesting. I think that for the Raiders, it's good to get rid of him. I wanted a little more. Like this is honestly like a BB for both of these teams. Max Crosby, for how good he is, that literally gets you to a B already. It's just the problem is you're giving up a lot, But you can also say like, hey, from the Raiders perspective, right, or from the Ravens perspective, not the Raiders, the Ravens. You could say like, okay, yeah, they gave up a lot, but what if they make it to the AFC Championship? That's at least a top 28 pick, or like a late 28 pick. 20 to 32 pick. Like if you make it to the AFC Championship, bam, like you're already good, right? And the AFC is kind of wide open in a way because you saw like the Patriots make it, and Mahomes coming off an ACL. You don't know how well he's gonna do. Obviously, it's Mahomes. Obviously, it's Mahomes. But Josh Allen isn't known to make long playoff runs, but it's the same with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson hasn't played with success. Like there's a lot of interesting areas to look at this trade. But it's kind of like the Ravens with the new identity. John Harbaugh is gone. You're getting Jesse Minter. He immediately made a statement move and getting his number one guy. And that's I respect it. Literally, this team is investing into Jesse Minter's defensive side of the football. And I think this will probably be more of a defensive team in the next couple of years. The reason is because obviously you just got Max Crosby. You're probably gonna draft some more defensive tackles or edges because this edge room is a little on the weaker side. You have Kyle Hamilton, an all-pro type safety. You have Nate Wiggins, one of the youngest, most prospering corners in this league. I don't think he's elite yet, but he can develop into an elite cornerback. You have Marlon Humphrey. You have Roquan Smith, who they probably won't move on from. He was getting trade talks. Maybe he was going to Giants and follow Harbaugh. I don't think that's going to happen anymore because how defensively minded this team is. And on top of that, like there's some good pieces in there. You have Kyle Van Noy. I think he might be hitting free agency. I don't know how. I'm gonna look at the depth chart, but there's a lot of like different areas this team can go into, and this team will probably be more of a defensive team than anything. This team, like, I think this will. And obviously, you have on the offensive side of the ball, you have Zay Flowers, you have Derrick Henry. Don't forget Derrick Henry. He's still on this fucking team, and you have the MVP Lamar Jackson, who I think is probably one of the best MVPs you've had in a long minute. You have Mark Andrews, Linderbaum sitting free agency. Voorhees, I don't hate that idea. Rosengarten has been very good. Ronnie Stanley, not bad. Like, Falele is literally the only hole you have, and Linderbaum, who's hitting free agency. If you throw a bag at Linderbaum, he's probably going to stay. But this team, like, and you have Chidobe Awuzie, who I'm not a gigantic, like, hater of. I actually like Chidobe Awuzie. And Matabike, who you don't know who's going to play again. But again, this defensive tackle class is good enough to the point where you can maybe get a second. Like, that's why I didn't like, because there's some, like, holes that they need to fill. But Jesse Minter has proved that he can make these different type of areas with different type of players work. Like, someone like who failed in, like, Adafe Owe, who failed in in Baltimore, like failed in Baltimore. He didn't have good numbers. He immediately started producing in Baltimore. I'm gonna look at his stats. Odafe Owe had a lot of like career highs in some of his stats. Like it's good to see, like that's who they want to build into the building, and they want to build that defensive identity, because there's a lot of fucking bones in this team. There's a lot of bones. Compared to Baltimore in 2025, he had 5 tackles, 5 tackle assists, 10 total tackles, 15 solo tackles, 13 tackles, 7.5 sacks, versus in Baltimore's first 3 games he had none. Right, there's a lot of to be built off of, and Jesse Minter seems to like these type of prospects, or these type of guys who don't really work on some of these teams and eventually go there. Again, there's a lot of moving parts to this. I know there's a lot of moving parts to this, but if you can develop Mike Green and get Odafe Owe, another pass rusher, across from Max Crosby, next to Matabike, who might be coming back. There's been crypto messages. Maybe get a nose tackle later in the draft. If you can maybe draft Kane McDonald or Big Citrus in the 3rd round, or the Godfather Saloni in the 3rd round. There's a lot of moving. Let me look at the trade details. Yeah, so Crosby is obviously the 5-time Pro Bowler. He has a 3-year, $106 million extension, so there's going to be a lot of cap hit. And they traded 2 first-round picks, number 14 overall in 2026 and number 27. They didn't even give up anything else. That's the craziest part. And this second round, or this pick is like this pick will probably be closer towards the second round than it is the first part, because I think the Ravens will probably be a playoff team, especially with how like inconsistent this NFC North division has been. I don't trust the Bengals, because they have the 3 players are just so financially expensive that it just gets a little like hard to imagine themselves actually like making a deep push with a deep roster. And I'm also not a big fan of Zach Taylor. This Steelers team has always seemed to be mediocrity, and Mike McCarthy has proven that too. I think Mike McCarthy is a mediocre hire. He's not the best. He's not the worst. Like that's my opinion on that. And in 42 Aaron Rodgers, I think he's probably gonna shit the bed again. He's gonna get fucked up by some of these better defenses. And finally, we're gonna reach the Browns, who are in a rebuilding year. Obviously, have the best defensive lines in football, right? But the problem is that offense, like their quarterback, is a big uncertainty. You don't know if we start Shedeur, Dylan Gabriel, or even draft a quarterback later. There's no real wide receiver one. There's a lot of like tackle sitting free agency, a lot of guard sitting free agency, a lot of center sitting free agency. There's no real wide receiver one, like I said. Mainly the more surefire like around like the area for the Cleveland Browns is the front 7, the linebackers, and the defensive line is just the best. Everything else is like falling apart a little bit. Maybe corner, Denzel Ward's fine, but there's rumors of him moving on soon. Like, and there's replacements being there. Like, there's this division is relatively open, and I think the Ravens are probably the most talented roster in this division, and that's my opinion. I think so. I don't know if you guys think so, but that's just my take on it. All in all, I will give the Ravens a B+, a B. I'll give the Ravens a B. They're getting their guy. I will give the Raiders a C+. I think I wanted a little more draft capital, a couple more day 2 or day 3 picks, maybe a 7th or and a 5th. 2 day 3 picks wouldn't be bad. It's just 2 firsts, and it's kind of like just you're trading him first and like a glorified second for a 5-time Pro Bowler. I know it's more for cap hit and stuff, but like I don't know, like this team has a lot to do, but like I don't know, like it's selling a lot, and it's like he's not gonna fit your timeline. He's gonna regress, and you're probably trading him at like a mediocre value, like that's my opinion. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the Max Crosby trade. I will let you guys know what I think. Actually, I already did. Alright, anyways, I'll see you guys tomorrow with a review of a mock draft. Alright, peace.